Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, so we're doing a new thing. You can crack your
Oh, yeah.
right here, right on the front of the mic. 3, 2, 1.
It's so weird learning like every detail of my breathing and swallowing.
Yeah. Talus.
Yes.
Talus Turk. Welcome to the Dead Sailor podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you got to remember to speak into the microphone.
Be close.
Yeah. So this is your first podcast. That's what you just told me.
Mm-hmm. I've listened to a few, but never been on one.
What's your favorite podcast that you listen to? Do you have one? Do you regularly listen to podcasts?
I'd say only on road trips, but there's this one podcast that I feel like most millennials listen to. It's called like Full Send, and
I don't think I know that.
Yeah,
one.
it's mainly for like young teenagers who like listen to stupid stories. But yeah, it's mainly one, but they're funny and they get my humor. So
yeah, what is your humor?
I don't know. It's like not like dark, but I guess a mix between just like you could go from like party stories to just like weird like universal ideas. Or I guess humor. I don't know. Yeah, just weird stories that just, I don't know. My humor's weird, I feel like.
All over the place?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, so I told this to Blake when she was on. You have a camera here.
Yeah. Look over
We
there.
got this little guy here, and I got my camera over there. So if you ever want to say something directly to the viewer or the Talus Turk fans out there, you got that camera
to all the
right
ones
there.
watching out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just said you got, well, maybe we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
You went on a date?
Yeah. No, I did. I just, with my girlfriend, but
I didn't realize you have a girlfriend.
So, yeah, we just went to the Drayton Harbor Oysters. They're really good. Anyone that likes oyster food or seafood, go up to Blaine.
Nice.
Get some oysters.
Oh, wait. I think I have been there.
Yeah.
It's like that place that's right on the water.
Yeah. It's so good, dude. It's insane. I had to try it right before I go because actually I'm leaving to Utah in like 3 days on Monday. So
That's right. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. First things first, though, for the people who don't know who Talus is, where does your story begin, Talus?
Well,
You're from Bellingham, right?
yeah, I'm 20 years.
You're a rare bird. There are not too many people in Bellingham that are actually from Bellingham.
Yeah,
so.
born and raised.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, no, I'm 20 years old, and I just started riding professionally for Transition and a few other brands. And
Tenet Components.
Tenet Components, Casket Armory, yeah. Currently working with the one sitting in front of me. I've done a lot here, like just I've done the classic, just like team sports, and then I kind of trickled into mountain biking when I was in middle school, and like that's really what I've been through phases with sports and whatever you do as a kid, and then I really just stuck to this one, and like it just I don't know, I met so many friends through it, and like the community here is just like it just has built since I started, and it's just like it's still growing, so I've just been stoked to be a part of it.
So, playing sports, what sports did you play?
Well, I was a big soccer kid. I started just rec, like Northwest, and then I went to Rangers, and then...
What is Rangers?
Rangers is a league.
Myself and other people that don't.
Yeah.
Is that a soccer league?
Yeah, soccer league, and it's like, when you're... It's like, you have to try out for it and everything, so there's like a C, B, and A team, and I was never fortunate to make the A team or B team, but I had fun on the C team. And, I had one coach, though, one year that made me really dislike the sport because he wouldn't put me in, even though I felt like I was a pretty good team player. I had good footwork and good touch, but I don't know. I guess he just didn't like me. I was maybe too weird for him or something, but yeah.
I kind of had that problem, too. When I was a freshman in high school, I played football for pretty much one practice.
Yeah.
And the coach just screaming at me was not what I was interested in. I was like, I think, and at that time I was riding BMX bikes already.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I'll just stick to riding bikes and being my own boss and not being yelled at by some backwoods country football coach, you know.
It's like those people just really ruin it. You're like, why did you do that? Like,
No, I know.
It could have been fun, even just
Totally.
do it on the side. But
especially at that like level, that age.
yeah,
Like there's really no reason for you to be aggressive to these poor kids.
I know, and they're already so sensitive to a lot of things, and then you just like are just like an aggressive parent. It feels like an authority talking to you like that. You're like, come on.
And if you're somebody like, I don't know about you, but for me, I really didn't like authority growing up.
Yeah.
You know, punk rock, metal, that kind of
Push
stuff.
the rules.
Yeah, BMX riding, and like all that kind of stuff was sort of where my mind was.
Yeah.
And so when somebody was barking orders at me, I didn't really like it very much.
Yeah, you wanted to rebel, basically. Yeah.
So then you found mountain biking. How old were you?
Well, actually, one more bit to it. Also, I did play football, but I was like so tiny that I would like go to the bathroom, and when there was hitting drills, I'd walk out of there because I didn't want to. I played a bit of football in middle school, but I just did it like from walking middle school, and it wasn't my forte either. I was a little too small to take hits. I would just fall over like a little pencil, just snap in half. So.
Were you you look like you could have been a quarterback?
Yeah, I was corner back or a wide receiver. Like to catch it or try to stop people from catching it.
Because you're pretty tall, aren't you?
No, I was really small until I was like sophomore year.
And then you shot up.
Yeah, but I was like, am I gonna be tiny my whole life? But and now I'm 6 feet. So but yeah.
So when did you pick up biking?
Biking? Let's see. I kind of like. I started riding just with my mom and my friend Evan in 7th or 6th grade, and like I had a pretty shitty hardtail. It was a Trek, and had the rubber rim brakes, not the disc brakes. And we had no idea where we were going on Galbraith, and I got lost first time. Did not like it. I was like, I don't want to do this ever again. I don't know. I just really didn't. I like biking. Like I did like ski to sea, and did the ski to sea biking race. But
what is the biking segment like on that?
On
I'm aware of the event, but I always thought it was like gravel riding or something.
Well, I only did the junior, so for juniors you just stay at like Patton Park and you just do the full loop, 2.6 miles. So, but there's like marathon, soccer, 3-legged race, biking. But that was fun. I enjoyed that, but I wasn't much of a racer even after that. But I went to the Galbraith for my first time with my mom, and it didn't go so well. And then I don't really know how I got back into it because I met some friends in middle school, and then and I started riding with people and actually making a friend group with biking, and that's where I started like really liking it.
Nice.
They pushed me, and then
So your mom's an avid mountain biker.
I'd say an avid athletic mom. She's an outdoorsy person. Mm-hmm. She was a big runner, and then she's just athletic, so she was like, let's try this, let's try that, and then I was like, yeah, I'm down, and then. Some things I'm like, no, but I'm just like, anything she pushed me, honestly, was definitely beneficial, So no hard feelings, Mom. But yeah. So, but what about you?
Me? What about me?
Yeah, when did you start biking?
I think the first time I ever got a BMX bike was, so I was born in Arizona, but the first time I got a BMX bike, I think I was like 5 years old or something, but it was like a Walmart style. It was a Kent. I don't know if you ever heard of a Kent. That brand, I don't even know if that brand's even around anymore.
Kent.
Yeah,
I think I've seen that.
But there's actually a really funny like family video from my like 5th birthday or whatever, me getting a BMX bike for the first time. And it had training wheels, or maybe it was maybe they took the training wheels. I can't remember, but I'll have to dig it up sometime. It'd be really funny just to post on social media for the hell of it. But there's some bigger kid in my neighborhood that just came over and was like, "Oh, that's a cool bike. Can I ride it?" And he just rode away on it. He came back, but my parents are just kind of like, what
neighborhood?
Where's
kid,
this
though,
guy
eh?
going? Yeah. He was like a little bit older. He was probably like 8 or 9, I'm guessing, and I was like 5, and he just took my bike for a spin down and around the neighborhood. But it wasn't until I was like in elementary school when I really discovered like BMX, legit BMX riding, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I was really lucky that my school had BMX Plus magazine, which is not really common. Like schools typically don't really, I don't know. like it was kind of weird for like a small farm country school to have a BMX magazine in the library. But I would check it out every month. Every month a new issue came out, and then my grandma started like subscribing.
Oh, so you're getting influenced through literature.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Just magazines.
Yeah.
I mean, this is before the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. Just seeing photos, you're like, that's cool. Yeah.
Which is funny to think about.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah.
That's cool though. And then you found mountain biking like later when you were my age.
Yeah. Very, very. Well, no. Like I didn't start riding mountain bikes until till I moved out to Washington. Yeah, but it was. I told this in the last episode with Blake. I think I started riding in like 2012 or 2013. So,
oh wow,
I had been riding BMX bikes for a very long time at that point, and trail spot got plowed, and it was like my third trail spot to get plowed in my life, and I was like, you know what? I really don't want to start. We actually tried to start digging another spot in West Seattle, and it like lasted like 1 month, and then it got shut down. And so I just started riding mountain bikes with Billy Lewis.
Oh yeah. So you moved from Arizona to Seattle then?
No, Arizona to Michigan, Michigan to Seattle.
Oh, well, Michigan. Oh, that's cool. So my family's from Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so tell me, where were we let off with it? So you discovered mountain biking with
some middle school friends.
Middle school friends, yeah.
And then I still on a hardtail, and then all my friends had like older, they had the friend who had the nicer bike, he had like a Covert, and I was like, ooh, that was like the nicer full suspension. I still had my shitty track hardtail, but then I was like, okay, and friends were like, dude, you need to get like a dirt jumper. Like I went to the dirt jumps and I was riding my crappy bike, and they're like, dude, you just need to get a jump bike. Like I probably would have had fun still on a hardtail, but we only had Civic at the time in the skate park, and also like the Shire was probably a thing. Those are some secret jumps in the hills we have here. But and then I went to Bike Sport, which is on Meridian, and I think it was the first bike shop my mom and I went to, and again, me being in middle school, I don't have a lot of funds in my bank account, but I had some saved up, from birthday gifts or me doing handiwork just when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And so I like rode around this like Santa Cruz Heckler, and like was laughing. My mom just saw that I was stoked, and like she's like, this is like way more than my car. Like it was like $2,200, I think. And the dude who owned the shop, he actually moved to Bend because the shop ended up closing. So he was like really trying to sell it on me. Like your son's really gonna like this bike. Like you buy this bike. And so, she's like, okay, whatever. She's like, if you split it, so I split it halfway with my mom. I put like $1,000 in it. She I think she paid for the tax, so she's probably paid a little more than I did. But I did fair share, I'd say. But it was most definitely worth it. And then I had that bike for 4 years, and like just decked it out with parts. And like one thing I really appreciate my mom did is like, from there on, I had to buy my own new parts, and then like if anything broke, she wouldn't like help me pay for the bike shop. So ideally, I'd have to buy the parts, fix it myself. So learn how to like.
I had the same thing.
Yeah.
And I actually like took a lot of that initiative too when I was a kid. I would take apart my bike just for the hell of it. I would be like, oh, like I'd want to see how the headset goes together. I've always been a tinkerer kind of in that way. So
no, it makes sense.
But yeah, I would fix my bike anytime it broke. I would just fix it myself.
Yeah, exactly. And the first one I got it, I was like, oh, I don't really want to mess with the suspension nozzles, or like I just didn't understand rebound and compression. I was like, click it this way. I'm just gonna not touch it, But then eventually I was like, okay, I got to learn how to like my forks started blowing out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna service my lowers. Like that's like a simple, but like seems like a complicated. But you watch a YouTube video, you get the idea of it. I feel like most bike mechanics, but yeah. Anyways. So yeah, rode to Santa Cruz 4 years, and then So
during this time, are you riding, like you said, Civic dirt jumps?
Oh yeah, Civic, Galbraith,
Galby,
and then like
what trails are you riding on Galby?
Before Cedar Dust, which was like that's where like I started getting into jumping. Uline, Evo. I think it's called what's the one?
That's so crazy for me to think about, because So I myself and Sky helped build one of the lines at Cedar Dust, which doesn't feel like that long ago.
No, it's been so long now. It's crazy.
Either that, or you've just progressed in a really, really fast amount of time, like quickly. you know.
Dude, that place, that Cedar Dust is like you guys, shout out to you guys, literally.
Yeah,
like,
thank you.
Holy cow.
I mean, that was kind of well, obviously it wasn't like just us. There was a whole bunch of it. Like the Shire guys built a bunch of jumps there too. Vato Steve had built that whole line. And so like, but the idea of like the progression line, you know, I think that was like originally Lars and Sky and everyone kind of mapped out this like jump, the pro line, right?
Yeah.
And then they pitched it to EB, and then EB was like, what if we turn this into like a whole skills zone, you know? And that's when everybody started kind of coming in. And but yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason that whole area exists, is to try to like foster people from going from just rollers and berms to small tabletops and corners to bigger tabletops with a couple gap jumps to bigger jumps.
And you got drops too.
And drops and everything. So you can really kind of like, you know, the next generation of riders can really just come up.
Dude,
right?
and it's crazy. The amount of times.
You got blue steel, you know, which is like the next level.
I know, yeah. And even like, you know, when Mohawk developed, like, I feel like that brought more to it. It's just like Galbraith has got it all now. Like, you have a huge mix. But no, dude, even like when I was at Cedar Dust, when I would just ride there a bunch, and like after going there consistently, I'd see like people there who like would routinely go to Cedar Dust, and like, or new people, and they just like hit the pro line for the first time, and like it's so sick, you know, because I remember when I first did that, it was just like crazy. Like it wasn't even open, you know. Not, by the way, I maybe poached it when it was first. It was too good looking. It was just so fresh, but. Like the first time I did that trail, I was just like, holy cow, you know, there's no jumps like that in Bellingham. Like they're perfectly built, you know, dirt jumpy, fast corner, like just a little step down in, like so sick. So,
yeah. And I think originally too, is like, you know, Sky and myself are very dirt jumpy, both have big dirt jump backgrounds, you know, when it comes to like our style of building jumps. They're not, you know, a traditional mountain bike jump is very maybe like drawn out lip. You're less pop, you know, it's more float, where like the jumps that we were building at that time were definitely influenced by dirt jump background, you know, so they had a lot of lip, you know.
Yeah, so you mix it between mountain biking and dirt jumping, you know, big bikes. But yeah, before Cedar Dust, I actually rode a lot at Galbraith, and one place I like went every day after school, like in freshman, sophomore year, was my friend Gage's house. It was up in Edgemore, and he had like the property was just incredible. Like it just had like a hill rolling into it, and then like his dad he was into like mountain biking and moto beforehand, so like he understood it. He'd take us to Whistler, or take my friend up there, and then he influenced me up there. And it's just like, you know, his backyard had they had a machine they rented because he worked with a construction company, so he had like a Bobcat, made like these sick, like we had like a roll into a step up corner and like a boner log, big ass hip, and then like a cool step up, and then he had like a mulch jump at the bottom that you could roll into from right next to his house. And like we had, you know, potlucks there, parties. It was like such a cool property. And like I learned my first trick there, like on his dad's bike. I just tried like a no foot can. I was like, oh, let's put my foot to the side, and then I was like, whoa, like it actually worked, you know. But is
that spot still around?
I think so. I know some of the Groms these days that live up there, I think they might try and ride it, but they're definitely like not torn down, but they're just weathered down, or, you know, a lot smaller. No one's maintaining them.
Yeah.
So, but that spot was like huge in my progression. Just every day we just hit the mulch jump, take bodies, have fun.
Nice.
Try new stuff. But
nice. And when did you build your mulch jump?
My mulch jump. Oh yeah, my backyard. I just flattened those actually this week.
You took them out?
Yeah, I just wrenched an excavator, and it's been like I'm almost finished now. But
wow.
Anyways,
is that your decision, or is that your mom's decision?
Mom texted me about it, and then I was like looking at them every day, and like the chickens, I just watched them. Like I like my chickens, but they destroyed my mulch jump. You know, they're great.
Just filled with chicken poop.
That, and just they dug holes like probably like 3 feet deep. It's like, it was impressive. I was like, damn, these things are tiny. But
dude, why did chickens dig holes? I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Dude, well, they you know, they like to do dirt baths. They'll like kind of wrestle into the dirt and like get comfy, or the sunbathe,
lay some eggs.
But we've got a coop for them, and you know, we've only got 3 chickens. We've got
But they fucked your mulch jump.
They fucked it up. But I would like get so pissed. Some days when I'd shape it up, make it look nice and pretty. They like just start scratching it and like digging holes. And I think they liked it because it was like warm in the middle. So like, and there's worms and all these critters in there. So it's just like a spot for them to hang out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had to take that down just because I wanted to flatten them, and like my mom's not riding, nor is my dad. So, and they're past for where I'm going to progress. Like when I hit those, it's almost like, what am I even hitting now? But the lip's still there, so that could be used. Could give it to someone, or new spot, Yeah. But anyways, built that like in November 28. I was a junior, so I think it was 2019, one or the other. But yeah, we kind of just started with the lip, and I built a pretty sketchy run-in, and off of our old treehouse. Some of the boards were rotten.
I kind of remember when you first built that, which was crazy too. I was watching like on your social media when you were, originally coming up when you're still in high school, and which obviously wasn't that long ago, but it seemed like you were learning a new trick every other day.
Yeah, no, dude, it was insane. That we'd have like night sessions every day. We'd ride it. That jump was insane. Like, I like got really comfortable with threes. I'm like, oh, let's try. Like at first, I was just like, oh, let's throw a 3X up or a table or a bar spin, and then like when I was trying to do like switch threes, I would just like goofily just like throw a switch three and then just like jump off my bike and be like, wow, that was cool. And then like one time I held on, and I was like, well, that works. And then it was just like one after the other. You just tried something and fall, and like you got really good at bailing too, just like tossing the bike. And I think everyone, if their mom's out there, like, or your grom, let your mom make a mulch jump, or let your mom allow you to make a mulch jump in her backyard.
I don't know if you can let your mom make you do anything.
Or try and convince your parents.
There you go. That's the proper term.
Yeah. No, I kind of secretly did. I was like, hey, Mom, can I build a jump in my backyard? She's like, yeah, sure. And then like we did it at night because, I didn't want them to know what I was doing. But we stacked, my friends and I, we were 16, so we could drive. I put like, every time we did it, I think we had like 5 cars. We did like 10 pallets loads each car. And then at night we'd have lights
mulch?
Of pallets.
Of pallets.
So we started with pallets stacked. We made them like stairs. So you'd like, and then, one thing that I realized like a year later, I was like, wait a minute, when these rotten, there's just gonna be nails in the mulch, so you can't fall. And I was like, well, we'll come, we'll cross that when we get there,
So how was tearing it down then? Because there's pallets in the mulch pile.
I think there's probably like 40 pallets, or like maybe 50, something.
And so you had to move a bunch of mulch and deal with pallets buried that are decomposing inside of it.
Yeah. So, and I also had like a dirt jump next to it with pallets under it. I was really into pallets. I don't know why. It was efficient though. But
in the Midwest, we used to bury appliances. So like fridges. Yeah, we'd bury fridges and washer and dryers, and then you'd throw carpet over top of everything.
That's how you dispose of them.
Yeah, you dispose of them and make a dirt jump at the same time.
Oh, that's smart. You're like, this is maybe going to disappear, but
it's actually not. It's not smart at all. Especially if you got to move a lip or a landing or something, and then you're like hitting a washing machine, like with your shovel.
Honestly, that just is like the same thing as a rock. You just put a fridge in there. That's funny. It could be like a cool video. You just have like, how people do logs like stacked and like in North Shore, you just do fridges.
Yeah.
No, my mom was just like, let's just get rid of these. Like, I'll rent an excavator. And I was like, you sure? I'm like, that'll be expensive. So I called them, and it like cost like $500 to rent it, and then bring it.
Hardware sales.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep.
And I got the biggest excavator. I've had a little bit of experience driving one because of Ryan Jocelyn, the trail director of the WMC. He let me drive it around to help build some of the local jumps.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to run it anymore, that excavator.
What happened?
I was using it one time, and I blew a track off it. And then, I broke the track. The track snapped. And I guess because it was like the second time the track snapped in like short period. The track snapped, one track snapped, and then the second track snapped, the other side snapped. Nice. And I didn't break it both times, but I broke it the second time. And so I guess when EB presented to the board of directors or whatever, or whoever, I don't know, it was like, oh, we got to buy another track. They're like, wait, we just replaced the track. And they're like, well, the other one broke. And apparently they were like, well, who was driving it? And then he was like, this Tyler Deschaine. And they were like, who's Tyler? He's not a qualified to drive. He's not on the list. So
was it user or was it mechanical?
No, it was just I was pivoting and a boulder went into the track, and then when I moved forward, it rolled the boulder through the track and just popped the track. It wasn't anything I did wrong. I was literally just pivoting in dirt, and there was a rock. It was just shitty.
So your name was just like, no more.
Yeah, it was just me that broke the track. It was an old track too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was bound to break at some point. But anyways, I'm not allowed to drive that thing.
Wow.
Apparently I'm not.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But anyways, you rented an excavator from Hardware Sales.
Yep, and it costs per day. It's really expensive, $500. I got it on Monday, but the thing is, they have only one driver to pick it up, so I was like, okay, can I have it hopefully to like the very end of the day, because I was gonna ask for like 1 extra hour and not have to pay for it, and they're like, yeah, we'll see, we're gonna come and try and grab it, and then like that was on Monday, and I called them on Tuesday, and I was like, are you guys picking this up? I was wondering, like, I'm still using it, if that's okay, because like you haven't picked it up.
They dropped it off.
They dropped, so it's up to them to like pick it up and like.
Yeah.
So, and then I didn't pay for Tuesday, and because they didn't pick it up then, and then Wednesday went by, and I was still using it. I'm like, I called them again and be like, yo, I'm not gonna pay for these days, because like you guys said I can only have for 1 day, and then like and now it's Thursday, and now tomorrow, or today's Friday, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. So they still haven't.
They still haven't picked it up. So
I think that just means you get to keep it now.
That's why I'm like, I have a key on my keychain right now. I have a Kubota key. I'm like, oh, it's a big flex, but I wish I could have one of those things, but.
The classic hardware trick for anyone that's watching or listening that lives in Bellingham. A classic hardware sales trick is to rent the excavator, tractor, whatever, on a Saturday afternoon. No. I think I'm saying this wrong. I'm right. I'm right. Saturday afternoon, pick it up. Sunday they're closed. So then you get to
free day.
You get a free day, and then you deliver it on Monday morning. So you only rent it for 1 day, but you get to keep it for 2 days.
Yeah, I did that with a pressure washer once for a job. It's exactly, it's a hack.
A sneaker move, yeah. Now I'm gonna blow out the fucking hardware sales sneak move.
Get all the tools.
Everything, all the tools are gonna be gone on Saturdays now. Yeah. Nobody listens to this podcast. Let's be honest.
Hey, I'm probably gonna, if there's more episodes, it'll be good for drives.
Yeah, no, for sure. You should listen to
the last
Blake one for sure. It's great.
You're gonna get Spencer on here too.
I know. I told him actually. I was like, Spencer, he was like, oh man, this is awesome. I can't wait. And I was like, yeah, you're coming up soon. And he was like, he sent me the like scared face emoji or whatever. I was just like,
I feel like his mom has the podcast gene, so Spencer's he's got some stories to tell.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna try to get all the athletes on here.
Oh, cool.
I think that's kind of
Hannah. Oh, that'll be a good one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Hannah on. Miles, Elliot Banks. I'm gonna get like
Ollie P.
Oliver's not an athlete, but I'll get Oliver on here just because. Actually, honestly, so I want to start doing a like live show, maybe once a month. Eventually, I don't know.
Yeah.
It would probably be tough to do it in this space. Maybe if Tenet grows into a bigger space. I would like to make a cool like lounge area and get like 4 or 5 friends once a month together and do a live show where we just sit around and bullshit.
Were you into watching those things when you were younger, or just like
podcasts?
Yeah, podcasts or reality TV shows, or just like
no, but more recently I've gotten into video podcasts. I really like the video aspect of it, but then also I mean, you could probably, if anybody watches the 9 Club, which is like a really good skateboard podcast, those guys have just mastered it. They're so good. Like the show that they create is I'm like kind of ripping them off a little bit, I feel like, just because like the way I'm going about the filming of it, the sort of the way the podcast is structured or like loosely structured. And then, the idea of doing a live one. They do a live show once a week, which is a lot. I wouldn't be doing it once a week, but it's rad because they're just a bunch of friends sitting around watching skate videos. Like they play the video so you can see what they're watching, and then they just like talk about shit. You know, they're like, "Oh, that spot's super crusty" or whatever. You know, and they're just like kind of bullshitting.
Yeah.
And I just think that would be really fun to do. It'd be like a really great way to just get some interesting personalities together and create sort of like a community.
Yeah, no, and it's just people. Yeah, people's reactions to some things are just
yeah. And it's fun too because like I watch that show once a week. I watch every episode that comes out.
Yeah.
While I work, and it's just you sort of start to feel like you're like you get to know these people, you know, and it's kind of weird because you don't know them, but you're in on all their fucking jokes, you know, which is just kind of funny. Like it's weird to be an observer and feel like you get the jokes, you know, you get all the inside jokes. But anyways, that's kind of like, I just really like the concept. And then also too, it's just fun to, hopefully my goal is that the fans of Tenet, the fans of Talus, the fans of Blake or whoever, you know, the fans of our community, the fans of Bellingham even, those people will become more engaged with it. I think that would be really fun.
Well, yeah, exactly. Look at the podcast you're saying. You listen to it when you're working. It's like when you just kind of like, you know, you jump in, you listen to it. Like when podcasts like that, there's almost like background music to you, or just like it's just like white noise. Having that kind of podcast is what you want. Just like.
And also and again, like I think I would really like for people to become engaged with it. Yeah. Like I want to like take viewer suggestions. I want to like take viewer questions. I want like to figure out ways to just like interact with the people that are following it, you know, that appreciate it. Yeah. And that's kind of like where that live show comes in handy because I don't know if you've ever watched a live Instagram or YouTube, live YouTube show, but there's like a whole comment thread, right? And like the people that are watching can comment on it and they can say whatever they want, you know, and like you can read that in real time and interact with those people directly. And I just think that's really, really fun.
And it's good though if you have like other athletes like Hannah, like she just, let's say, went to like Darkfest, she could tell you all about it, and you know, you're like, how does this one go this year? Like, you know, just updates, just like from the riders, you know, viewpoint.
Yeah, totally. Which is part of like I want to know, like you're moving to Utah, so we kind of got your background a little bit. Yeah. And we understand how you got into riding. Yeah. You've progressed a lot in the last couple of years. I mean, you went from doing Superman seat grab Indian airs as like your craziest trick to suddenly doing cork flips, and now you're doing cork flips both ways. And like what
changed? Yeah,
like how did you progress so quickly?
Well, like for me, it was flipping. Like, you know, I knew how to three sort of, like just kind of like throw a big three, kind of weird looking, and just like big tricks on big jumps. Like I already had that comfortability going with blue steel and just like, you know, what we have here and just going to bike parks or whatnot. But like
even your threes, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, but no, go.
Even your threes, like when you first started threeing, you know,
they were regular axis.
Yeah, it was like just a regular axis three. You don't do that anymore.
No, like
you're like flattened out hard. You know?
The indoor bike park up in Maple Ridge Air Rec Center. I had a season's pass pause when Corona happened, so I would have been going there. Like maybe I might have started like the progression sooner if we didn't have Corona, but like it was just the lack of like, you know, our like we have a lot of damn good jumps, but there's not a lot you want to fall on unless you're like you can take a fall. Like I could, but it's like I don't know. Cedar Desk at some point the rocks get a little painful, and just no mulch, no bag, and like obviously that's a privilege, but just like if it's that close, like an hour away, it's like why not go there? But anyway, so I just like started. I remember like some of the friends were just like, dude, you got to start learning how to backflip or you know do a flip, and you're like okay, and then eventually I was just like determined. So I'm like I just need to get. That's like the only thing I was lacking in my riding at the time. I was like I just need to know how to go upside down and just do it. Like you know you just need to do it. And I never till last year I learned how to flip the dirt. Like I didn't flip the dirt till last year, and first backflip on a mountain bike and like first real like you know I flipped my BMX a few times, and it's just like. I don't know. It just didn't feel the same, and it was hard to translate. So, but yeah, I went to Iraq like in the fall, and then like all of winter. I went there like for like 60. I think I racked up like 60 or 80 days up there, I just
Damn.
like 2 to 3 days a week. I made like a training program just for myself. I go by myself, rainy days, injure myself, go back, or like chill, then go back there. I don't know. It's just like, and then like there's all these crazy like some of the kids I'd be riding with about, oh, how old are you? Like, oh yeah, I'm 17. I did a 3 double whip, and you're like, mate, and like, and you're just with these like insane influences. Like Matt McDuff was there, and like I didn't really ride with him much, but he was riding there, but I just kind of like would watch him ride, and like all these other crazy athletes like Anthony Missouri, Braden Barrette, this kid Chance Moore even. He's a good friend of mine now, and like he's like in title slopestyle contests, and like he's just, that kid's going places. But like those people really push me, and like they just were all about flat spins and like, doing flat spin, or that's my go-to. I'm like, what? And I'm like, that makes no sense, but now like, now it makes more sense to me. But that was like,
so a flat spin is kind of like a straight air for
a
lot of these guys.
Yeah, now that's like, it's so much. Straight flip is like, oh god, like that's scary. But like for some jumps it's better. But yeah, it's like I understood that. I remember Sky mentioned, he's like, yeah, this, Jackson, this he's a rider of transition. He was telling Sky, it's like, yeah, the pop is just like, you can understand it. I didn't understand what Sky was saying. He was just telling me that Jackson has like this certain way of like, he can just hit a jump for this first time and do it. And I was like, what? And now I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because it's just like, it's just repetition. It's like, driving a car.
Yeah.
So, but
so you just started doing them,
Eric,
and then not only you started doing them at Eric, I assume on the airbag there, and then you moved to the Mulch Jump, because they built the Mulch Jump pretty recently too, right?
Yeah, like a year or during Corona.
Yeah, and then it seemed like in no time you're doing it on blue steel.
Yeah, I kind of came from like, I think the first event was Freeride Fiesta. Like that's where like I really like learned, that's the first time I did like a bigger flip. It was from Cedar Dust to there, because I kind of was like just the winter, during the winter, and then just kind of like more, I don't even know where.
So here's a question for you. What exactly goes through your head to go, like, how do you process going from doing a like corked flip or a cork 3 or whatever you want to call it on Cedar Dust, which for maybe the viewers or the listeners at home, that jump is like, let's give some scale to that. That jump is probably like, the lip is like, what, 6 feet tall maybe?
Yeah, it's actually pretty tall, and you like stand in the base.
7 maybe?
Yeah.
Pretty steep, it's pretty lippy. Mm-hmm. It's a step up, but it's a short distance. So it's like
7 or 10 maybe
10
max.
feet, 10. So you go from corking a 10-foot gap to Freeride Fiesta, which is like, what, 30?
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
So like, how do you calculate in your head like spin, like the speed of the rotation and whatnot? Like, did you eat shit a lot when you first tried it at Freeride Fiesta?
I only did, I think, 3 or 4 of them. And the first one I did, I was shitting my pants, because I was like, I asked one of the riders there, I was like, how do you like flip this jump? He's like, the one over there? I'm like, no, not like the 40-foot step down. I'm like, this step up right here. And he's like, oh, like you just like go up, give it a tug, and you'll be good. And I was like, okay. And I was like, that's all I got to do. He's like, yeah, just give it a little, And I was like, okay. I was like, even to like a rider, I was like, a normal person hearing that, they'd be like, what are you talking about? You're just making noises. But it kind of makes sense though. You like waited, and then you just like gave it a little, little nudge. But, yeah, I kind of just like had like a mindset. I'm like, I had to just do that. My brain just was like, you got to do it. There's nothing else you have to do. And like, first one,
was the reason behind that because you feel like you need to like prove yourself in this scene, or what?
I don't know. I just like, I feel like that's one thing that I was working on, and like, I did try to straight through it, and I like did like a 450, and I was like, that was weird. I was like, I don't want to do that again.
Damn.
And then
that sounds horring.
Yeah.
Did you high side? Did you land?
I just dug and
slid out.
Thankfully, I didn't get pitched over, but and like the first one I did like just over rotated and like landed on my butt, and I was like, well, that went very well. And the next one went, and I got it, and then I was like, well, that's good. And then I didn't do any more that day. I just did one, and then later that evening it was literally the last day. I like waited to the last day. Also, I like broke my thumb. It's still like, it's like a weird bump. You can kind of see it's like weirdly bulgy, but I had that issue going, so I I felt like a little restricted then, but I still was pushing.
You felt a little restricted with a broken thumb.
Yeah, no, yeah. I know. You might have seen the videos. That I had like one glove, but I had like this weird glove on my hand, and then another glove. It looked like a Michael Jackson kind of thing. But everyone was like, "Why is is this a new style?" And I was like, "No, it's like it just makes me feel more comfortable." I don't know. It was so weird, but yeah, and then it was the way to the last day, just kind of till I was like comfortable with the course, because the whole time I was just kind of scared because they were big, and
Yeah, and that was your first free ride event, and you're riding with Johnny Salito and I don't even
Talus
know.
Turk.
Just like all these super big names,
Yeah.
which I can imagine is quite intimidating.
Yeah, and like Carson Storch, and they're just like first day we're there, they just like flip a step down. I was like, what? And I've like never seen a flip step down in my life, because in Bellingham we don't have any step downs. In Utah, I'm usually by myself when I went there when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like,
had you ever seen anyone of that caliber ride in person before?
No, never. Literally, like maybe an air wreck, but like they're riding an airbag, so it's like you can't really see their full skill sets.
Yeah.
But that was like, whoa! I was just like,
you hadn't been to Crankworks or anything like that,
or Crankworks, been there. I guess, or like riding with them and like talking with them.
Right,
different vibe.
Oh yeah, completely different vibe for sure.
So,
absolutely.
But and then after that event, I kind of just like traveled to a couple places. I don't know where I went from there. I think I went. I don't even remember. Maybe it was just Blue Steel. I don't even remember. No, I think. Oh yeah, I went to. It was Cedar back to Cedar, back to hometown after there, and then went to an event called Zink Invitational, and it was like a little big fest, he called it, and it's like his backyard. It was really weird. I don't even know how I got there. I got there because of this guy named Cody Wilkins. You know Cody.
Oh yeah, we'll have Cody on here.
Yeah, Cody. Yeah, and again, huge shout out to him. He was like I think he kind of made my name in the sport, honestly, because like once I met Cam, I met more riders, and they kind of recognized me more. My skill set was way different then, and there he had like a trick jump there. It was like a 15-foot tall lip, or maybe I think it was 15 feet, or something crazy. And the landing was like 20 feet or 25 feet tall. And it was just like a 30-foot gap. And then I was like, I kind of want to try spinning this. And then like it just like went, and I was like, well, there we go. And like I was there. But anyway, the build up to that event was like, Cody was like, hey, Cam wants you to dig. And like, I didn't have an invite to the event. It was more like, he needs some help. And like, I was like, can I bring a friend or a filmer? Like, so me and Evan just kind of like hopped in our car, and like, I also had like he offers me some work in Tahoe. So I was like, okay, I'll be down in California, in Nevada for a month. And like, I kind of just hung out at Cam's property for a week. No one there, just helped him, like prepped it. And like, it was really cool to like meet him and just like, be like, well, I'm in a Legends like garage, all of his like trophies and Rampage bikes are in there, and like his Polaris, and just like all of everything he's like won is in this. I'm just like, what is happening? I always seen like videos on like YouTube when I was in high school, and I'm just like in his garage, in his backyard. I'm just like,
that's that. If I could compare an experience that you experienced like that, for me, it would have probably been meeting Joe Rich. Yeah, like he's a legendary BMX rider.
Yeah.
He owned Terrible One. He was my favorite rider. I had his posters on my wall and everything.
Yeah.
But I went the first time I visited Austin, I met him. I was with a friend, and I met him. He was sitting outside Whole Foods eating with Ron Kimmler, which I'm probably speaking foreign language. These are all very legendary BMXers from like the mid 2000s, right?
Oh, cool.
And anyway, so he was like, "Oh, you should come by the Terrible One ramp," which was this legendary, huge mini ramp, 7-foot quarter pipes, big bull corner. Spine, huge 6.5 foot coping to coping spine. It was really terrifying ramp to ride, just because it was the size of it.
Intimidating.
It was big. But then, here I am. I'm in the backyard of Terrible One, where Joe lives, riding this ramp that I've seen in all the videos growing up. And, Taj was there, who was also a legendary BMX dude, and his dog Roscoe. I got to meet Roscoe, and it was like, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, I'm like, holy shit, am I like dreaming right now? Like, this is insane. I was like trying to keep my cool, like, oh yeah, cool, dude. And, oh, that was a really cool air. wow, you did like a 10-foot air in a tabletop. That was pretty sick, dude. Knuckle bump, like sweet, trying not to shit my pants.
You're just like, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny. That's sick.
So I can imagine that's kind of like a similar experience with it can.
Just a little off topic. Terrible One, that's a BMX band, but I always see like Scotty, this, the local guy here.
Scotty rides.
So it's a
for them
component company.
They make frames.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they do make parts, but they were predominantly a frame company. So they were like an American-made BMX frame company.
Oh, okay.
But they make bars and chain rings and grips and a bunch of other components. They've, I don't think they're like super popular these days.
Yeah.
I think Joe still does like limited run frames and stuff like that, but I don't think he's like really putting a ton of energy into it these days. But
that was just a weird hashtag at first on his Instagram. I'm like, why does he always say terrible one? I'm like, is that like he'd do like a really sick 3 and he'd hashtag terrible one? I'm like, that wasn't terrible. Like that was fucking good. I was like, that was nice,
Oh man. Well, I would say go and do a little homework on terrible one, but you don't really, you do ride BMX bikes.
Yeah.
And maybe it's worth kind of digging in and seeing a little bit of like the history of Joe Rich, because he was like, Joe approached BMX a completely different way than everybody else was approaching BMX at the time, and it was like sort of like the fuck the corporate bullshit, fuck all this stuff. Like he was making zines and he was doing like. He was a filmer. He was doing really artsy, like, riding videos. Like, if you were to, like, take what is an artsy mountain bike video nowadays, he was doing that in, like, 2007, 2008. And it was, like, taking these, like, epic trips. They did this video called, oh, man, actually, I'm not sure. I can't remember the actual name of the video. But the concept of the video was Terrible One traveled, like circumnavigated the globe and rode every continent in the world, or and they rode like all these crazy spots, and they rode in Africa, they rode in all these places, and like it was like him and Garrett Burns and like all these like legendary riders, but it was like they were all about like the road trip video, like sleeping in tents in like pitching a tent in the bowl of like a concrete skate park in like Arlington, Washington, like they would like sleep and wake up early and then rip the full pipe, like stuff like that. Like that was just kind of like their whole vibe. But
that's sick.
It's pretty cool. It's definitely a different energy than what you see nowadays.
That's like him being like the legendary kind of rebellious dude. He reminds me of Shaun Palmer,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He actually, coincidentally, so Cam Zink's neighbor is Shaun Palmer, and I had no idea who that was until Evan and I, they had pit bikes. They're like, ride them wherever, and he had like this insane motocross track in front of his yard, and I didn't know whose house this was. I remember him mentioning, or Cam was like, make sure you drive like 10 miles per hour, like they're really gonna get he doesn't like dust, and they're just old and weird. And I was like, okay, he didn't mention
this is Shaun Palmer.
Yeah, I didn't know who they were, and so. And so we park, I drive by him a bunch, don't even know this is crazy moto track there. And then like Cam had a little pit bike course in his yard. And so me and Evan are riding the pit bikes around. We're like, oh, look at this track. And like, it was just like over the hill, and it was just like insane moto, like in like 60-foot gaps. And like, we start like wrapping around these stupid little pit bikes. And then we hear like this dude being like, hey. And then I was like, oh God. And then like Evan like goes down, and he's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? And then he's like, riding pit bikes. And then like, dude's like, well, you know where you are right now. We're like, no, I thought this was Cam's property. He's like, that's what everybody says. And then like, and he's like, you need to get the hell off here right now. And I was like, okay. And then like, he's not riding, obviously, but he was just like not stoked. So we like go drive away, like piss him off. And then like Cam goes, like we get back, and I just have to tell him, being like, I'm like, can't just keep this a secret. I'm like, we got to tell him like what we just did. And then like I tell him like, yeah, we were like riding over there. And he's like, what? And he's like, do you know you're just riding in like what area? And I was like, no. And he's like, that's Shaun Palmer. I'm like, who's that? And then like later I like look it up, and then I was like, oh wow. I was like, that's a
He flipped a fucking snowmobile back in the day. He was like, I think one of the first people ever to flip a snowmobile.
Dude, yeah.
He built in the back country. They built carved a huge lip into the side of a like hillside out of snow, and he just like just fully tried a backflip. And I think he like ate a lot of shit, like landed upside down the first time with the sled on him. He was a professional border cross racer and motocross racer and BMX dude and mountain bike dude. The dude is definitely a legend. He was on an airplane one time. I went to Eurobike and he was sitting. Oh man, maybe I shouldn't tell this story. Matt, I doubt Shaun Palmer's going to listen to this podcast. But he was sitting like a couple rows in front of me, and he was like, him and his crew. He rolls with a kind of a solid crew. They had been partying on the plane. This was like probably like 2000, maybe 2015, something like that. But they were like partying hard on the plane. And he was like, I remember just like kind of like being like, holy fuck, that's Shaun Palmer. Because I knew who he was because of, he's got Cadillac tattoos. And I grew up watching Shaun Palmer on X Games and all this shit. Like I knew who he was, you know. And so I'm just kind of like watching and observing. And they were getting after it on this airplane. And at one point, one of his people was like sitting across the aisle. I had an aisle seat in the part, like a friend of his or whatever sitting right across the aisle from me, and he like gets up. He's got no shoes on. He's got like a lot of like blacked out tattoos on his feet. I don't know what he's covering. I don't know what he had there, but he just like covered up a bunch of tattoos. He goes into the bathroom barefoot, which is like insane on an airplane.
Grimy.
Especially an international airplane. It's super gross in my opinion. No socks, barefoot. And then he comes back and then he's like leaning on the person next to me, and they're like kind of wrestling, and they're like, oh fuck you dude, He kind of like falls into me, and I'm like, oh my god. They were just partying hard on the airplane. Yeah, like a 8-hour flight from New York to Germany or whatever, or Switzerland or wherever we were flying to.
But, so funny.
Yeah, guys, definitely a legend for sure.
Yeah, just him being number one in everything. It's crazy.
100%. Yeah, he was very good at everything. He's one of those people that just is like, I'm gonna flip a snowmobile, you know, like, and then does it. You know, he's definitely that type of person.
Yeah, and he lived a very like rock star bike life, you know, like
100%. Yeah.
So it's like crazy. But anyway, so how that came about, that was like, wow, that was crazy. And I looked up videos. I'm like, whoa, we just like messed with the legend, like pissed him off. I was like, cool. And then we kind of, that event. Oh yeah, we're talking about events still, eh?
I think so. Yeah. Well, we started where we were talking about your progression, learning like how you go through the mental process of going from doing a cork flip on Cedar Dust to a fest series style jump.
And that just, again, it's just
at
riding.
Cam's event, you had the opportunity to ride that
course and his jumps, and like a lot of it was sketchy, Cam style building. Like, I remember seeing videos of him like, oh, just scratch it in and it'll go, and like a lot of stuff was well built, or some of the stuff was like, like, oh, there's just a bump there, and like that's a little weird, but just variety of riding. Again, it's just like, living here in Bellingham where we're like 30 minutes from the border, it's like going to Coast Gravity, Whistler. It's just like, again, when I started going to his event, and then like, again, we go back to hometown or another bike park, or let's see, Cam Loops. I remember I went with Transition, and like just the more spots I rode, that really just like developed my progression, and like met more riders that way. And then I think, that was the last event I went to until Proving Grounds, which is the competition I made.
Yeah. So tell me about Proving Grounds. That was your first kind of like free ride contest. Because like Freeride Fiesta isn't really
it's a jam.
Same
as Zink's invitational.
I mean, just like, were you nervous going into that, or were you excited? Like, what?
Well, at first, the only reason I like got into that event is I first reached out to Todd, who's the owner of the event, and he's the owner of starter and co-founder of Red Bull Rampage.
Todd Barber, right?
Todd Barber, yep. And so I just emailed him being like, hey, like I was wondering like, what's the deal? I've heard about, just want to like try to get in this event. I didn't know about a qualifier at the time, so I just like.
Did Todd know who you were?
No, I had no idea.
Did you send like a
It was
a sponsor me tape, like a little DVD with a bunch of clips, or what?
First off, it was just like an email being like, hey, like, I'm an athlete. Been like, hopefully I'm talking. I kind of just approached it being like, hopefully I'm talking to the right guy. Like, I'm like, how should I approach this? Just kind of like not trying to be like, I'm this. Like, give me a free bike. It was more just like, or give me into this competition. It was just, who are you? This is who I am, and like, I'm just really passionate about the sport. I want to get into free riding, and just get my name out there. And he's like, well, first, like, good to meet you, and blah, blah, blah. Like, first, when I see a video. So I kind of like waited in the summer to like get more footage. And like, that's when I started like switch spinning blue steel, and like went to Zink's Invitational, lots of footage. Evan, like my friend and colleague, he like helped me produce a lot of the footage that we've gotten and like capture it and like showcase my riding. So he, huge help in getting me out there, getting my name. But yeah, so then the email came around. He's like, hey, anyone who wants to be a part, like, I just got an email like a month before the event. He's like, if you want to try and get in, like, send me your info. So I like sent him a video and like what I do.
What video did you send him?
So
I'm curious.
It was no videos. I basically took a bunch of clips from Kamloops, Utah, which is a video we're actually supposed to come out next week, and he was going to talk to you about that, speaking of it. But anyways, just a bunch of riding from all around. We made like a mashup, a montage. Mm-hmm. And it had like a old like country style music in the background, and black and white, so all the clips kind of look like they were the same, but different areas. And so just showcase my riding, and it's a cool video actually. I think I might just I'm going to start like a little YouTube and just like put videos that I've made that
you should definitely have a YouTube channel.
No vlogging, but just like videos that I've filmed.
Dude, I mean,
anything could go, or
do
just
whatever
like,
you want.
Yeah, we're gonna get a dad cam too, So
honestly, dad cam footage is great, and Spencer's really good at that.
Yeah,
I wish that he did more.
Dad cam
filming vlog stuff.
Yeah,
when he was shooting those vlogs of you guys a couple of years ago, I was loving it. It was great.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh yeah. So this podcast, I got to do a fake ad every time. This podcast is brought to you by Trader Joe's Sparkling Water. Crispy, refreshing Trader Joe's Sparkling Water.
Makes you say, ah.
Makes you say,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Kolsch beer, because Kolsch is the best.
You ever done any Tenet one?
No. The problem with it, so my goal is maybe Trader Joe's will start paying us, and or Kolsch or somebody, or Periscore. Periscore.com. Get your Periscore coasters at periscore.com. I'm just going to keep plugging and then send Paris a bill in the mail.
He'll get like 2 or maybe 3 people on his new website, who viewed it.
Exactly.
Oh.
No. I mean, everybody that's watching or listening to this probably is somewhat aware that this is a Tenet podcast. So maybe they'll support the brand because they like the show. I don't really know if I really need to advertise the brand that hard on my own show. Maybe at some point, like this hat. Pick up this hat at
it's a damn good vibe
ridetenet.com. It's a damn fine dad hat.
No, I love that kind of little promotions, midway.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Where were we at? We were talking about Todd Barber. You had cold emailed him. Mm-hmm. Surprised that he even responded to you.
No, it's really cool. And like,
it's great.
I think Sky mentioned, he's like, yeah, this dude's like the co-founder of Rampage. If you want to get in.
Did you name drop Sky? We were like, I know Sky Schillhammer.
I had to actually, I had to mention being like, hey, he mentioned me your email, so I'm not just some like rando. How do I get your personal email?
100%. Yeah. It goes a long way.
Yeah,
especially dealing with Todd Barber. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's Red Bull Rampage is a kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no, and I just fathoming that he started it, and like I'm talking to the guy who started it. It's like, again, it's just meeting these people. It's just mind blows me, Yeah, I was actually thinking about that.
You can bring it up a little bit. You can kind of hear it. It's a little weird.
And then he emailed me like, give us a yes or no if you want to try to be in the event. Like, send us a video and a paragraph of yourself. All right, and then shot him an email, and then he responded with you become the second alternate. So there's 2 alternates that get into the event, and then there's qualified athletes, and then there's pre-qualified who are like, Emil Johansson or Dylan Stark,
Mm-hmm.
But the qualified ones, there's a committee who let these riders in, and they selected me as a second alternate, so they only selected 2 alternates. So I was pretty stoked on that, just to he's like, you can still come to the venue and like ride the course just in case someone, drops out, or you don't want this to happen, or if someone injures themselves. And when I got when I learned that I got in, Cam McCall just DM'd me, and he was like, checking 1-2, Talus, like, are you there? And I was like, what? I was like, why is Cam McCall DMing me? And then I'm like, hey, how's it going? I just went to the lake. Like, what's up? And he's like,
Cam is awesome. I met him one time many years ago. He's so goofy. He's awesome. Yeah, he's great. That's awesome.
No, he's very, gives very good dad vibes,
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, you made it in. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you're qualified. Like, do you want to come? You still want to come? Like, dude, yeah. I'm like, of course. And so, yeah, that's how I got my invite. And I think the reason why I was invited is I literally saw an Instagram post on, I think it was like a few hours before he texted me, and Billy McLean broke his femur in Coast Gravity. And
God.
I was like, well, and if anybody knows who Billy McLean is, he's like one of the steeziest. He had like a post that he went like the highest ever on this like New Zealand jump, and it was on his dirt jump. It was insane. But a lot of people,
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I saw that clip.
A lot of people go up in the air, but he went pretty up there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so I was like, damn, that's really unfortunate, but I was like, that's cool. It's just like, it's a weird thing to be proud about, but like, that's the one thing about being an alternate, or like in those events, it's like, it's weird people dropping out. Like Paul Genovese, he was also injured, so he was invited, but last minute he dipped out, and then, I think like 4 alternates made it in, so like, it was pretty cool to see that, there's other people still in the list, anyways, so, made it the event, and then I wasn't really nervous. I honestly was just like, I just started riding jumps, just kept riding my big bike, to stay comfortable on it. Didn't really change much, kept set up the same. Rode bike park, went to Cam Loops right before the event, and like that was really sick, because I I haven't really, I flipped like 1 step down. Like that was the only thing I was like, I felt like that would have been like a point, just
like a flat drop flip,
or step, little lip and
yep.
down, not step up straight, or step up or straight. And so that was the only thing I was like, I got to do this. That'll give me some variety in my run, or it'll just, be able to be up there with other riders that are doing that, so it's like the only thing I'm not lacking. Like 3 drop is like, I've done one of those in the past, but I wasn't confident. I was doing a lot more flips at the time. So kind of did one in Port Gamble. They sort of have a step down there, and those jumps are pretty interesting. They're big. Who's
Matt
Bolt? No, Matt Orlando. Yeah.
Yeah, those are girthy.
Yeah, they're large.
You've hit them.
Smaller line. There's a girth. The girthy ones weren't running, or they're good to go, but there was no running for it.
Mm-hmm.
They needed, for some reason, the city needed the city would only allow a wooden run-in, but the wooden run-in would cost $20,000. I was like, what? I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just make a big dirt mound, but erosion and stuff, I heard. Anyway, so they had
are they waiting on money or something?
Yeah, I think, they're waiting on some financial support, and it just wasn't, they were there. They're just large house jumps just sitting there, sculptures. They didn't have any grass. It seems like they were just fresh and a little soft.
So you flipped a step down. Cam Loops, did you flip that one that's at the top of the...
not the wooden. No.
Not that one, no.
No, it was a sort of, maybe a 2-foot max step down. But it felt like it because you'd look for a second. It was definitely the step down wasn't a dinker. You had some time on it, so you could chill it and then bring her around. And then there's one at Port Gamble that was 2 feet again. So I haven't really fully flipped you're just blind lip and you don't know where the landing is kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that was what I was kind of a little scared about there, but for the most part I wasn't really that scared going to the event. And but when I got there I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And just warming up, riding with all the riders, they're all, for us, the qualified athletes who weren't pre-qualified, we only had 2 days to train and figure out our line, and most of the pre-qualified athletes were dude, honestly the qualifying day is going to be more fun to watch than the finals day, because people are going to be throwing down to try to get into the event, and the up and comers were like doing shit that was, maybe new to the other athletes, and just like, it was really cool to see everyone in their lines and their like how they were doing throughout the week, or if they had like this was holding them back, or they tried, some people did something new, or I've never done that before, or like my buddy Ryan, like on the day of qualifying, just like hucked something he never has before, and just like somehow brought it around, and he was just like the MVP, because like it was just like, so the energy is just like people trying new stuff. But
I feel like that energy that you're talking about is like what the same kind of energy you get at like a proper fest event, right? Like I know that like Freeride Fiesta is somewhat of I don't know if it's a part of the fest series or not.
Yeah, I guess you could call it, but it's not part of the fest series. It's not like Nico Vink's thing,
right? But that's what I think one of the point I was trying to make was like the what you were talking about with like people being stoked and the high energy, and like people being like amping off of each other and learning new shit. That I feel like is what a fest event would just be, right? Like the entire weekend or week or whatever is just everyone just learning new, doing worlds first and whatever,
Yeah, exactly, dude.
So or personal firsts,
Yeah. No, that's kind of what it was. When everyone was practicing, people were like, "Oh, you did this, so that was cool." Like, or you just at first, like every day would start with a session in the step up at the bottom. That step up is like literally made of dreams. It was just like, you'd come in fast over a roller, and then like you literally just get shot up so hard, like just like it's like a Cedar jump, but on like steroids, and like just super, the magnitude just so lofty. Like there's no jump like it. It's built for tricks for big bikes, which is really cool. But you'd warm up on that. There's no warm up there, which is like how most fest series jumps. Anyone who's ridden large jumps, or at a bike park, usually you can like with crab apples or Coast Gravity, you can ride a flow trail or get warmed on Blue Trail, but like in these events, there's literally, you're straight into like a maybe a 10-foot drop into like a 20-foot step down, or you're going to like a session of 30-foot step up. That's like one of the biggest jumps you've ever hit, and it's just like even the girls are like, holy cow, like, and they killed it, like just a lot of them were like, take their time, but there's like little setup jumps, but again, that's not a warm up. You're just like looking at this massive jump.
Yeah.
So again, you just had to like worry about that like every day. But then once you start riding more, you get, the bike feels good. Yeah. But yeah, basically our setup for that event was camping, and a lot of the athletes stayed in Bend, which is an hour away. So like practice would start at like 8:00 or 8:30. But when wind was being a big issue that week, we didn't have like one evening session, maybe one, but I had a flat tire and I just kind of watched, and it was like, it's like, oh, this is just fun to chill. But like it was mainly morning, so we'd get up at like 6. I'd get up at like 5:55, and then practice at 7. It'd be really cold. It was kind of nice riding sweatshirts, and then the sun would come around like 10, 11, and then the wind would pick up like midday, and then you kind of just go to the lake, chill, and it was a good setup at being able to camp there and just like walk to the course. It's 5 minutes away, and I could just look at it and like picture my line, like this, that. People would have to leave at like 5:30 and wake up at 4:55.
Yeah,
which is like
because it's I've actually been to that spot. I went to the first Black Sage Fest a bunch of years ago, which I think is like, I don't know if that course is still there. There's like a van that you jump over. And
it's still up there.
Yeah. But it was far, man. It was we took a shuttle from somewhere. I can't remember where the shuttle picked us up, but we took a shuttle to Prine. It's Prineville, right?
Prineville,
yeah. And it was like a legit 45-minute drive or an hour drive or something. It was a long drive for sure.
Yeah, it was an hour. And everyone's like, oh my God, I gotta like wake up. I'm like, why don't you just camp here? I'm like, even some of the like locals who lived in Bend, like they wouldn't camp there. And I was like, don't you have a sleep? Like, I don't know. I just seemed like I
feel like that would be way more
It's like
fun.
going to Glacier for us. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just camp a day in Glacier. It's like if Glacier had a proving grounds,
Yeah.
It's like I'd love to camp out there for a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we camped, and it was pretty sick. Our setup was pretty blown. We had like 5 cars, and like we wouldn't stay up too late, everyone was pretty focused. My friends were there, which was super cool. I had like 2 or Evan and my friend Wyatt and Ian, and like we had a good crew. Everyone's vibe, energy. They would just come and watch, film, just hang out, and like they people were allowed to ride on like the jumping. What's it called? It was the jump or best trick day. We had like 2 hours, but it was really windy, so most of them didn't ride, but just there to enjoy it. So like there's 2 days of practice. Got comfortable with the line, and then like learned a few new things, and then qualifying day came around, and I wasn't like that stressed for it. It was pretty chill. Like first day qualifying tried to happen, we got delayed with the wind, and so we kind of just waited for like 3 hours, and we were kind of just waiting up there, and then Brett Reeder was the first to drop, and he was the deciding factor if we started the venue. So if he dropped that day when it was super windy, then everyone else would have to go. So like,
oh my God,
like thankfully he's kind of like
calculated. He doesn't want to fucking get hurt, right?
Yeah, and he wants everything to be kind of perfect, which I don't. I'm not going to be like, why'd you just go? Like some athletes were like, I just want to get this over with. I'm like, no, I honestly want more practice. Like if we delay it till tomorrow, it's like I can practice tomorrow morning right before and like get this more dialed, because I had a couple things I was like,
that's smart.
It was, I was like stoked. I was like, please delay it. Yeah. Obviously it's not like Rampage where you're like, this is the biggest thing of my life, and I'm about to shit my pants.
Yeah,
but
totally. I mean, I could imagine Rampage is like you're just like, I've been.
The more you delay it,
I didn't sleep last night because I can't stop thinking about it, and I just want to get it over with.
Yeah, exactly. That's like that's where it's like, wow, big mountain lions. But so we delayed it after he didn't drop, and then in perfect wind, we started earlier, and it was just like, oh, this is dialed. And then like, of course, there's water, no holes in the lips. They had a dig crew just going constantly, which is super sick. And then qualifying went well for me. I did one run, and then scored.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing your qualifying, like the clips from your qualifying, and you got third, right, in qualies.
Yeah,
and I just remember like there's so much hype surrounding you at that point. They're like, Talus Turk takes third in qualies.
Yeah. It was so sick. I was like, damn, I can't even. What just happened?
Yeah,
but. And then, finals, I had the same line going, and like I was going to add like a few more tricks. Like I did something new that I thought would have scored well, and I added another, variation to one of like my switch threes, and like was wanting to do like this Indian air up top and seat grab one, and like nothing was nervous, wasn't like I was like doing the same thing, just adding a bit more things, and like I did them all prior, but the only problem I think I had was like I had a mechanical and then like a speed issue, and then like wind was starting to pick up.
What was your chain fell off?
Yeah, second run. First run I like dropped in, felt good, and, like just did hit the drop and hit the corner, and then like did like the seat grab Indian air and like landed a little overshot at the hip, and so then my speed I had to like pick it up a bit more for the step down, because the step down where I was flipping was like a 30 maybe, I think it was a 30 foot long and then like 10 feet down. And so it wasn't like super far down, but it was like fast, and like you just had to like give it really some. So it's nice because you honestly couldn't really over rotate it. So I wasn't. It's more about under rotating, but I like pulled a bit left, and I was like looking at this drop rather than straight. So I like landed in these bushes and just like chundered through, and I was like, what just happened? And I was just off course, and I was like, damn it. I was like, well, that was a DNF. And then I was like, okay, and I just cruised down the rest of the course. I was like, I didn't die. That was good. Yeah. And then I was like, damn it. I was like, it's like so annoying you don't get the first round. It's like, and now I was also understanding like rider frustration. Like I didn't understand. I was like, damn, that sucks when you see like a slopestyle athlete not get a rundown. You're like, oh, it sucks, dude. Whatever, you get it next time. But like when you're actually the athlete, you're like, damn, that really sucked. You're like, that's so like humiliating not getting the the line.
Yeah. I can understand like that mentality for sure. You've been spending the whole weekend or the like several days building up to like killing your like doing this run, and then it falls apart due to just a stupid little bumble somewhere, right? You know, but and
like you weren't crashing, you're not like feeling weird, coming up to practice you're feeling dialed. It's just like shit happens. But second run comes around, wind's picking up, it's like really annoying, you're like, god damn it, and then you're thinking about wind, second guessing it, you're like, do I do it? Some people are like, I'm good on my first run, like even some like the good athletes who had like scored like a 79, and like I thought my run, I was honestly maybe expecting to make like top 8 or top 7, because it just was the tricks and the variation, the line choice, I thought I was going to do pretty well, but like you never know, whatever happened. But and then basically what happened is like went down the same run, Indian air, and then like I got blown like very far left, overshot the hip, like landed the Indian air, but I was like skidding, and I was like, okay, pedal for the step down, and pedal, and just slipped, and I was like, ah! And I just like absolutely like just 50-50 the step down, and then I was like, and my chain's gone. I was like, it's not even on the anything anymore. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna cruise down. I was just like, damn, it's just like, but like then after I didn't really like wasn't too hard on myself. It was just like insane to make it into finals and do the run. You know, it's like doing like, you know, even when you're just like riding a set of dirt jumps at like Civic and you just do like a little line, you're like, that was sick. It's like, that's how I felt. I just felt like I did a line and like made my run. It was like super fun and just like, it was just this crazy experience, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, that's sweet. So having kind of done that, what do you, I guess, what's your takeaway from that? And are like, I assume that you're going to try again next season, right?
Yeah.
Next year. Do you get another invite because you were in it last year, or do you have, and you qualified so well, or do you have to once again become like be put on a reserve or whatever backup list or whatever? Do you know?
I think from what I'm just assuming, I know if you make top 10 in the pre-qualified, which is finals, you get re-invited into pre-qualified, so you don't even have to do qualifying. Mm-hmm. But for qualified athletes, I think now that I've been in the event and I'd say, you know, I did decently well.
Yeah, qualies, yeah.
That I'll probably maybe get qualified. So I'll do qualifying again. Mm-hmm. And I might even switch up my run. I've been thinking about like just like on like just after the event and like, you know, now even like I still think about that event, like, oh, what could I have done differently and whatnot.
I mean, you also have so much time between now, like based off of what we've talked about early on in this podcast was that, you know, you've progressed. I mean, the corked out threes and like you're flipping. Doing them both ways. That came in such a short period of time. Like, what's on your list? Like, you if you put your mind to something, obviously you're going to be able to get there. So, do you have something in your head there? You're like, oh yeah, by next year, I want to be comfy with this.
But honestly, I'm kind of my brain. I don't know why it's thinking this, but I really want to make into Darkfest, and I want to flat spin that 90-foot jump. Like that's literally what my brain's thinking. I don't know. Like that's what my brain's been on. Like just like big
90 foot is that long one before the left hip, right? Yeah. That mega left hip.
Like yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then like it'd be really cool to like do another like switch spin on the hip. It's just like I don't know. My brain's just like. I've always like, even when I started riding, I feel like my like style's just been like always do one thing after the other. Like make a line. Even when you're just riding like some sketchy jumps in Bellingham, like, oh, T-bog this weird shark fin into like a sus canyon gap, you know, just like one after the other. I don't know. I just like that thing, just adding a line to everything. So I'm just pushing that and like trying that in bigger courses and making it into bigger events. Like, you know, obviously when I'm there, I might be like, no, but like my brain's like, that would be really sick. Like that's, I don't know, just taking that trick.
Has anyone spun that?
People flipped it.
Straight flipped it, right?
And Bienvenido's front flipped it, which is like,
oh yeah, that's insane.
But like, you know, I've been talking.
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was nuts.
Insane, literally insane. But that guy, I made a really good connection with him, and he wants me to fly to Spain and like hang out and ride with him. And he shows me all his spots. So I was like, that would be really insane. Yeah. But and just being around someone like that with big air orientated. And I remember when I went to Freeride Fiesta, I remember like the first question I asked him was like, how do you like get comfortable with like flipping a jump? And now like to me that makes sense. But beforehand I was like, do you just have to ride that stuff a bunch and like just get comfy on big jumps until it's just like, oh, like I don't really stress about it, you know? Feels like a regular seer to step up to a 90 footer or whatever. Yeah. So like, he's just really good at that. I feel like riding with someone like that and being around, if I want to be influenced in a sense of like long and like big jumps and doing
the psychology I had growing up, and I'm obviously not nowhere even close to like the level of riding that you're at, but like for me it was like when I learned a 360 on a BMX bike, it was like, okay, like I'll three this like little jump, you know, and it's like, oh well, that jump's only a foot taller and 2 feet longer. That's not that much bigger. Yeah. And you try that one and then you do it and you're like, oh, and then that one's only another foot taller and maybe 3 feet longer, you know? And then you just like, for me, I just like inch my way up to, you know, until you're to the point where you're like threeing a, you know, legit dirt jump, you know, good sized dirt jump. And I imagine that's what you need to do to flat spin a 90-foot jump, because I get like all I can imagine is you would have to that would just be like, the slowest.
But the thing is that lip looks super like chill, so it's like you're gonna like push, and then once you've like pushed, like you can like relax it. But at first it's gonna be like probably a little bit of a give because it's not like a steep lip where you chill it. But if it's you know if it's mellow, it's like you're really gonna want to like give it something and then just like relax. Like the pole's not gonna be hard, but it's like the push in because you need some pop. There's no pop on a flat lip, you know. So it's like you kind of got to give it a little bit of something. Like, so man. I don't know, but that's just trick wise. But for like, after Proving Grounds, I kind of like realized, I've always dreamed of making a Red Bull Rampage, but just like, I haven't really grasped the idea of like, could I even like do it? It's like,
right. So that's something we haven't really talked about.
Yeah.
You are about to move to Utah for the winter.
Yeah.
Is that because you want to be in that shit? You want to be in the Utah terrain? You want to ride that like kind of terrain, or is it like what's sending you to Utah?
Yeah, there's like a few things. Like one is like kind of back on topic with like Red Bull or the events, but just like every event, like it doesn't have to, I wouldn't have to care about being in like Proving Grounds. Like I tried Proving Grounds, I was like, that was cool. Like if I could just get another event, and if I didn't make it in Proving Grounds next year, but just like made in that event, that'd be cool. Like just trying every event would be like major goal. Just like oh, I sampled that. It's like consistency's really sick, but just like trying everything. And so like going to Utah is a great training grounds because it's super dry, and it's like, if you're a downhill racer, you go to Santa Cruz to train, or, if, you live in, a lot of people from British Columbia will go down there and train, but it's a good training. And, I've always went there and traveled for only like 2 weeks when I camp. And I'm like, I wish I just had a freaking house down here. I'm like, I just want to shower and, cook food not on the stove and have like my trash in my back of my car.
Right.
So really it's just like, living there and experiencing and moving. I've always wanted to move out of Bellingham, but I didn't want to move into like, I'm living with my parents. Well, now in 3 days I'm moving out, but it's like, I've been living with my parents. And it's like, I didn't really want to move into a different house in Bellingham. I want to move to like Canada, which is like stupidly expensive, or, California or Utah. It's like, that seemed like the best option for like winter, at least. I want to come back here in the summer because it's like prime time here in summer, and like there's so much to do. There's Canada, you can, weather's perfect.
Yeah. Which is funny because like Blake is moving from Salt Lake City, which obviously is not virgin, but she, we were talking about on the podcast. So we were talking about, a goal of hers is to ride in formation, and to also be in that kind of terrain, but she's leaving that area or leaving that terrain to come here. And we were kind of talking a little bit about like, well, what, Bellingham actually has a lot to offer, even though it's not the same dirt and like exposure, but it's like, there's still really gnarly shit up here. You can still really progress and scare yourself in the Pacific Northwest, so it's kind of it's kind of funny that you are going to Utah when Blake's coming here. So I'm like losing an athlete and gaining an athlete over the winter, like simultaneously. But no, it's exciting to see like that you're going down there, and I'm really excited to see the like content and what like changes. Yeah, how you progress. It'll be really cool to see how your riding progresses, because when you were coming up, you were quickly getting good. Like you were getting good really quick. But like one thing, and this every rider goes through this. But it was like one thing I noticed at the beginning was like, I was like, oh man, Talus is like, you were figuring out your style. It's like you were trying to figure out like, oh, what do I like, how you tweak your tricks, and how you were kind of like, at one point you were sort of like huck and pray, like at that young age, which is everybody goes through. It's not a knock on you. It's just something that everyone goes through. And you've really come into yourself in the last year and a half to 2 years. You've like, your riding has gotten so progressively good, and you've really fine-tuned your style. You've got your laid out threes, your whips, and like everything you're doing, your Indian airs are like, you've got them so dialed that like your legs do the same tweak every single time you do them, And so it'd be really interesting to see how riding in Utah, riding those big jumps that like Jackson's riding all these all these days, and blah, 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 all these guys that are down there that are just killing it. Yeah. And then also kind of mixing in like
the BHAM style,
BM stuff, but also like mixing in like the real gnar. Like if you start riding some of that like Rampage, like that, you could ride the old Rampage site, like, and that's insane. That would be really insane to see, like when you're like skinning down some really
stupid shit.
Totally. And so it'll be really cool to see what all comes from that. But
no, totally, dude. Yeah, I was actually just talking to my friend who I'm moving in with. He's like, dude, like like, not to be like that guy, but we're gonna like ride all this stuff, this new Rampage zone, right after they're done. Like, it's all gonna be fresh. So like, it's like a lot of the stuff I've heard over the summer got washed out by rain. It was like crazy amount of rain they got this year over the summer. And like it got rain rutted all the jumps and landings and chutes and everything, but like that zone is just getting like, you know, where they're currently
buttering
digging
it up. Yeah,
it's just gonna be like so good. So it's like, it's cool. You can like ride that stuff after, and like some of the stuff you're not gonna ride. I was like, do you think you could ride one of the lines top down? He's like, I don't know. Like some of them are really scary, but yeah. So
you should just. This would be like a kind of a fuck you to somebody, but you should ride somebody's line from top down and try to recreate or one up someone's run.
So be like, I just did your run, but yeah, that'd be fun.
You'd probably make some enemies in the free ride industry if you were just like, oh yeah, just post a video of you doing the same run but one upping every trick.
That'd be a bad rep, but it'd be cool, I guess.
It'd be cool for you.
Progressing it, but no, definitely go to Utah, like get comfort with that area, and then like, you know, knowing the owner hopefully can like trickle you into the event one way or another. Again, connections are a huge part of it.
So I mean, Todd Barber.
Yeah.
I mean, there's your connection right there. If you want to go to Rampage, like you should just email Todd and just say, hey, I just want to experience this. Like I was a part of Proving Grounds. Is it possible for me to be
an alternate at least, or like
not even an alternate? I wouldn't even say that. Like I you know,
want to get in.
If you could like get in there, that'd be amazing. But even just attending and just being able to be around the riders or whatever, I think would be a really good experience.
That's what I'm planning. I just talked to him like, yo, could I like come watch and spectate? He's like, yeah, I can get you a digging pass. Like you don't have to dig. Obviously, you're not allowed to.
Yeah, there you go.
I was like, Lars and a couple of the transition folks, like, dude, just go down there and like be in it. And just,
you got to just be around it.
Yeah.
You got to see what it is, because a lot of those guys too. Like, there's a fucking huge list of people that are trying to get into Rampage, right? And they're putting in their dues as diggers, you know, or whatever they got to do to be able to just like get their foot in the door, you know. And I think like if you surround yourself with that kind of like environment and you just immerse yourself in it, you're going to like really figure out like, oh, okay, this is how I need to do it. You know, like if I was to actually to be a rider in this, like here's like how I map a trail out. Here's like here's how I figure out what features to ride, you know, or whatever. But
and just also, when you live there, you start to figure out like, oh, building on a ridge, like, or, you know, just even building like a line down a ridge is probably totally different than just building a kicker at the bottom. You know,
big
like
time.
You got to build a drop or like see the landscape. It's just getting experienced.
Yeah. So that would be cool. That'd be super fun. I really wanted to go to Rampage this year. I've been saying to Hannah for like probably the last like 2 or 3 years, Sky and myself, we're going to team up and shoot a video of Hannah in Utah. And we've been wanting to do that. And we still hopefully will make that happen. But this year we were talking about doing it. And then we were talking about going to Rampage afterwards. Obviously I'm right here right now. I'm not there. So that didn't happen. But you know, I really have wanted to just witness Rampage in person. Every person I've ever talked to that's ever been to Rampage and seen it in person has always just been like, dude, what you see on the screen does no justice for what it's really like.
It's insane. Like
the shit that these guys are riding is terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, like my buddy Mike Lawless was like, he's like, dude, you can't, like some of the shit you can't even walk. Like it's hard to walk up and down those ridges, and not let alone like somebody riding a bike down them at speed, you know? So, but yeah, that's cool. I'm stoked for you.
Thank you. I'm just like just trying to get acquainted, I guess you could say, just get involved, get the name out there, and just see what it's like. Now I'm kind of like just started it, so you know I'm just seeing how it's going, just having fun with it too.
Yeah. Are you going to be back for Crankworks next year?
Yeah, back in April or May, so somewhere around spring.
Yeah, you should try to get into whip-offs.
Whip-off. Yeah, I was actually going to talk to them about that. Yeah. It's weird. I've heard you just basically email this thing, and it's like a job resume, but for your whips. So you just show like photos of you whipping and videos of it, and then they're like, you're good. Like there's this dude I know who made it. I'm not going to put any names out there, but he made it in, and I literally was like, what? I was like, I haven't seen him went past like 50 or not even like past like 45 degrees or like, or maybe he made like 80 or near 90. But like these days people are going like 120. I don't even know, there's no degree to put it to, but like, yeah, I was like, how does that even?
I saw you corked crab apple. So you get some fucking hoots and hollers for doing that.
Yeah, true.
I mean, everybody like you do got to lay down a whip to try to like try to just get up there and win it, but one of your runs has got to be a corked out flip.
Yeah, like flip in and then whip it. Like, dude, that don't get me wrong, that jump's a damn good one to whip, but it's it's good for everything. So, but that event, and then definitely getting some more, just everything, just try to hit fest series. I was talking to Nico, maybe he might. I don't know if he's doing Loose Fest again, but Hillbilly Huck Fest I think is one, or no, Royal Hills. He's probably doing the Royal Hills one. So maybe those, and just I'll just start chatting with people, see what happens.
Nice. Well, I think we should probably start wrapping it up here. We've been chatting for a little while. Talus, I don't know if you want to say anything to these people out there. If you have a word of advice or a word of stoke for somebody, or I don't know, maybe just say hi to a family or friends or somebody. I don't know. You can say one thing.
Let me think. Right now, once this podcast is done, when you're watching it, if you're on the road or you're just sitting in your home, I think go get your bike or go to your local spot and just start having fun, meet new people, and ride. Just always ride, keep riding.
I like that. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Talus, thanks for coming on the Tenet podcast. We'll get you on here again sometime soon, especially when we get the live stream going.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can talk to your fans. That'll probably be in like a year, so you'll be like you'll probably have a Red Bull helmet by then.
Trader Joe's helmet.
Yeah, you're gonna have a Trader Joe's sparkling water. By the way, if you are thirsty, make sure to get yourself a delicious Trader Joe's sparkling water, blueberry lemonade. All right, everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. It's been a fun one. Talus, we'll catch you next time. All right. Peace.
Thank you for having me.